I think this is going to be a better move. Definitely, you know, less sunshine and probably 20 degrees cooler. So we'll move from tailgate scrapping to scrapping on the patio and scrap on wherever you go, you know. So I've been processing a lot of material lately. It's that time of year. School's getting out, and a lot of stuff coming in for processing. And I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about maximizing your profits and some things I have found over the past month or so. So I thought I'd share some of it with you. I gotta be really careful what I said. I must be on TikTok's radar because if I sneeze, I get restricted. So I better not sneeze, huh? They're gonna restrict me. I'm just used to it at this point. I have a potload of material to process, and you know, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about what's been going on over here. Some of the things I've found. This is more material than I've ever had to process at once. I had, you know, we've had some good pickups and helping that man with his. He's a retired tech by trade, but he got very sick and wound up really having to dispose of a lot of material very quickly, which kind of was sad. Hi Mike Does Stuff, how are you? I am still not able to view comments on the monitor phone. I don't know why. I think I did this to myself. I think I made the account private, and I think it blocks the commenting. You know, I'm gonna have to just go back and look for it and see. What have I done to myself now, huh? So, one of the decisions I made over the course of processing out all this tons and tons, and I mean, this guy had, oh my God, I never saw so much material in my life. It presented storage issues right off the bat, as you can well imagine. That was number one. And then number two, it presented issues with materials that should be saved for further processing. I had somebody wanting 40,000 pounds all at once, and that's just an impossible task for a hobby scrapper. Yeah, I don't even care. They did it again. I don't care anymore. Guys, I'm restricted. I don't give a shit, okay? I don't care anymore. I'm going to video it, and that's it. This is why you don't see me go live, because I'm obviously on their shit list. And, you know, this is why I far prefer YouTube over TikTok. But it is what it is. If you could share the live out, that would be great. You know, you can't say anything that resembles sell or sales or .com or purchase or buy. You know, they'll just restrict you. And this is why you will see less of me on TikTok and more of me on YouTube. I just made the decision I don't care anymore. I'm going to say what I want. They're going to restrict me with it anyway. I think I'm on their shit list is what I think. You know, I don't care. I really don't. I do, but I don't. But once they restrict me, I can say anything I freaking want. So maybe it's a good thing, huh? But I would appreciate it if you would share the live out. This is what cracks me up. They ask us all to become content creators, right? They ask us to do this, do that, and then they restrict you. You know, I am not a fan of TikTok. I will say it right out loud. I don't care. I hate TikTok. But I love you. But yeah, I'll be eventually moving to YouTube full time. I've heard this from other content creators too. That's why they're on YouTube and not TT. So it is what it is. All right. Anyway, rant over. Yeah, I'll post this up as a live. I don't get it. I really don't. I think it's, you know, this is AI. It gets a little bit overkill. And hey guys, welcome to our generation, you know. It's what it is. So I got a $40,000 order for e-scrap. Most of you know that. I'll be back in 1 second, guys. I gotta go grab the drill and then I can chill and drill. I gotta grab the drill from the car bed. Hold on. And again, this is why I've been posting more videos and less lives. I really just can't take it anymore. I really can't. Just what I need. Stress from something that's supposed to be fun, you know? Anyway. I don't care anymore. I say that, but obviously I do care because, yeah. So, one of the things I discovered over the whole process of this frickin' 40,000 pound order, number one, this guy don't know what he's doing. Absolutely brand new to the business. No idea what he's doing. And it's just been a mess, you know. Guys, if you could share out the live, I'd appreciate it because they restricted me. I obviously said sell or purchase or buy or order or some stupidity. So, when this order came in, I went through my stock of available materials, and I had a lot, but when I did the numbers for selling him pallets of equipment didn't add up well for me. So I went back and I looked at something Short Scrapper had done. He does some really great comparisons on stuff like this, and you know, some other people. And of course my own teardown experience. And my decision is it is not profitable to take on these large orders from exporters. It's only going to be profitable if I stick to my original business model. My business model has been and probably always will be take things apart, sort them, process them out for resale. And I'll tell you right now, that is the way to go. Whole units take up a lot of space. You wind up getting bogged down. You aren't able to send out material on a daily basis like you need to do to pay your bill. You're stuck with a big order and it ties up all your inventory. So for this gal, I am going to continue. Yeah, hey guys, do me a favor, share out the video because, and don't forget to double tap the like button. I got restricted because I said sell, but you know, too bad. I'll get restricted for saying I hate TikTok too, because I do. But love you guys. So, sorry guys, sometimes when I get annoyed about something, it takes me a little bit to get off of it. I'm sorry. So I have made the decision the best way to go about any order, any processing anything is to stick with your original business model. And mine has always been, take everything down, sell the wire, get rid of the cases so you're just not accumulating mountains and mountains and mountains and mountains of e-scrap. You can't store all this stuff. I mean, how the heck much room, you know, unless you're a business. If you're a business, yeah, well, fine, you've got a warehouse. I'm not a business. I do this for fun, in spite of TikTok. They piss me off so bad. They beg you to go on as a content creator. They beg you to do this, and then you go on, you're minding your own beeswax, and they frickin' restrict you. Stupid. Anyway. Back to your topic. So, I have found trying to accumulate pallets of material to be foolhardy. At least for me. The value's not there. Even to sell to Board Sort or SellYourBoards.com, shipping units like whole computers, whole processors, whole servers, for me that is not profitable. Number one, it's expensive to ship, and number two, I wind up with pallets of shit all over my yard. I don't want it anymore. I have to sell material every day. Number one, so I don't get into the mess I'm in right now. And number two, you know, you gotta keep money flowing. You have to. You got bills to pay, you got gas to pay, you got a truck to run. And to tie everything up into a big order that may or may not come through, I have decided is foolhardy. I will not do it again. It doesn't work. Not for this Cal. So I am going back to what I do and do well, and that is scrapping computers on a daily basis. Processing the material, putting it into bins of about 50 to 100 pounds. I usually do 50s just because that's what I can lift without injuring myself physically. You know, that works for me. Anyway, all right. So overall, that has been the process, and trying to do it any other way for me was a disaster. This buyer, again, thank God I know enough about this business that I knew what was coming. I knew. Not my first rodeo, you know. Done this before, been through this before. You know, I'm old, I'm a girl. You think this business is easy for anybody? Try being me. It's even worse. I save these. These are Goldfinger cards. They can be sold just like this if you want to sell them in bulk to a buyer per se. If you want to send them to Chris or to Zach, you can process these, take off the fan, take off the bracket, sell as a Goldfinger card. No heatsink, no bracket, which is what I usually do with these. Again, if I can get a box of stuff out every day, awesome sauce. You know, I'm making money. But by trying to hold everything and put together 40,000 pounds of e-scrap, I'm off my rocker. I'm not able to put material out every day, and you get yourself into financial difficulties that way. That doesn't help anybody. Wow, look at this thing, huh? I picked this up from my computer guy the other day. Again, though, the problem, it's old technology. I see it's dusty, I see it's dirty. I've got them aside for further processing. I could sell them as, if I need to sell them as is, I can. I prefer not to. And that's what I've been doing. These are aluminum heat sinks. They can go as extruded aluminum. Takes me 2 minutes to nip this guy right here. Knock these out. I've got clean aluminum. So these are things I have aside. Come back here. Stay. To process further. I put those aside for winter work. You know, stuff like that, yeah. That can go aside. That doesn't matter so much, you know. But to put all my computers aside and put all my servers aside and all my material aside, well, And then he gets here and tries to change the deal. I guess I should tell you what happened. So, back and forth we went. I gave him a price list. I agreed to sell to him at board sort less 25%. And the reason I made that decision is 25% is exactly what it sends me to send to sellyourboards.com or to board sort. 25% is going to be my shipping, and he would come and pick it up. All right, that's about fair. You know, I made him up a list of what I had in stock, and he agreed to purchase it at that price. I said, all right, I need a deposit. I need 25% down before I'll even look at you. I need another 50% in hand, cash, before you arrive, and you can pay the 25% balance when you get back and check the load. You know, fair terms, well, you know. And he agreed to that. You know, it started with the first submission, trying to change prices, trying to say this, it's too much, I won't make any money, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I want you to understand something. I don't need you. I have 5 people I can send materials to. That's the other thing, too. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't do it. Because they think they've got you over a barrel. Well, guess what? This girl has more barrels than you want to know. I would never, ever sacrifice my relationship with BoardSort or sellyourboards.com. I always will send them material. Always. They are honest. They are professional. They will never cheat you. And they're both just great people to work with. Ever. I mean, you know, my whole thing with it's really shipping. Ouch. As to where I can get the best price. And they're 2 of the best in the business. I refer people to them all the time. And I would continue to do so. So, I had a couple people locally. Unfortunately, both of them lost their businesses. And that's sad. But you better cover your back, guys. I'm telling you. You gotta cover your back. Don't just count on people to say they're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're not going to. Unless you're talking to me or Chris or Zach. Because we are going to do what we said we're going to do. Zach owns sellyourboards.com, and Chris, of course, is at BoardSort. And I'm in Connecticut. But I can't, you know, I can't stress enough. You better cover your back. So he comes down, I don't know, a month, let's say a month ago, we started into this. Came down to kind of meet. What I did is I invited him to come to one of my pickups. I had a new customer who was, you guys remember that big, huge, hunky server, printer? They had asked me about coming in to, you know, remove the printer for them. And I was just new to this fellow. I didn't really want to meet him alone because I didn't know him. And I said, why don't you come down and, you know, kind of see how we do business here and if I'm somebody you want to work with. And, you know, everything went well, you know, me just being me and doing what I do and, you know. And then he and I went out to lunch to talk a little bit to see, you know, see if we could do business. He's only in New York. It's not far. And by the way, this is a vicious, nasty, mean as fuck business. There is no other way to put it. I use that word about once in a year, so I've used my quota. There is nothing nice about the scrap business, except for my TikTok channel and my friends. Matter of fact, the scrap business sucks. Everything about it sucks. So, buyer beware, let me tell you. I'm almost glad they restricted me, because now I can say whatever I want. So, so he came down to visit me, you know. Looked at the printer, because I said, well, you know, we can arrange to have you pick this up and put it on towards your quota. And, you know, when you come down to pick up pick up your order with your truck, you can come out and get this. So we made those arrangements. So then he says, well, we don't pay for scrap, and that's scrap. I'm like, so I'm going to give you 1,000 pounds of material, and you're not going to pay me for it? On what planet? He says, well, we don't pay for scrap. I said, well, you don't pay for it if somebody gives it to you. I said, but I don't give it away. I said, I can take that to the scrapyard. It's all metal. I said, I can take that apart and sell the boards. I can make a lot more money doing that than I can. But he said, but you don't have a truck. I said, well, you don't have a printer. So I hired somebody. I hired a truck. I went in and I looked at the printer. And I said, you know what? I can take this apart. And I basically said, well, screw you. You're not going to pay me for it. You're not getting the material. What do I look like, a charity? Anyway, so, you know, this went on and on. Guys, could you share out the live and tap the button? Because I already got restricted, and I think you can see why I'm in a really crappy mood about this whole big order. It just was nothing but a headache and a nightmare. Part of why I'm sharing this is, number one, I was smart enough to know what was going down, and I hope to educate some of you to this. You know, and share a little bit how you can protect yourselves. I protected myself, you know, I would have gotten my derriere handed to me had I not. He took one look at me, you know, gray-haired old lady. You know, figured he would make himself a nice killing. Well, that doesn't work here. This gray-haired old lady knows more about scrap than most people who owns a yard, let me tell you. And anyway, sorry guys, if you're tuning in today, you're going to hear a bitch fest. I can't help it. So that was step one. He says, well, we don't pay for, you know, we'll take your scrap, but we're not going to pay for it. I'm like, so you expect me to store it for you and keep it for your 40,000 pound load? You think I'm going to store your scrap? But no, I said, you can pay me to store it. You can come get it. Because a lot of times that kind of stuff I'll take for free. Just, you know, the monitors, printers. I know the yard isn't going to take it. Who cares? Anyway. So what else happened? Let me see. So that was red flag number one. Boy, I got bit. I got spider mites out here. Those little red things. Oh God, I hate them. So that was the first flag. What I was going to be dealing with. Then he comes back with, well, if we pick up 40,000 pounds from you, we will pay you $12,000. I'm like, well, what do I get paid ahead? Well, you don't get paid ahead. We pay you when we get the load. I'm like, not in this world. I said, do I look like I was born yesterday? My gray hair should tell you alone. I was not born yesterday. So I was like, yeah, no, that doesn't work. I said, I will post material in lots of 10,000 pounds. You will pay me. After it's paid, you can come get it. Yeah. He didn't like that, but I really didn't care. I said, look, I said, I have 10 other people I could sell this material to. I said, quite frankly, I think I'd rather sell it to Chris. I'd rather sell it to Zach. I really would. Just, you know, just the damn shipping. You know, I prefer both of them because I'm not afraid to deal with them. That, by the way, guys, is probably one of the best reasons to deal with either one of them. You're not going to have to worry that you're going to get ripped off. They are not going to cheat you. That is a peaceful, good feeling, especially if you're new in this business. I can't say enough about those guys. I really can, and I hope they're both listening because I mean it. I really do. I mean it. So I'm like, you know, forget it. I'm not doing that. I said, these are my terms. Take it or leave it. So he sent me a deposit. Then he's like, well, we want the whole 40,000 pounds at once. I said, well, then you can pay for a warehouse to put it in. I said, because I'm not doing that. I said, I don't want this shit all over my yard. I'm not sitting on 40,000 pounds of material for you exclusively because I will lose my shirt. Not being able to sell the steel, not being able to sell the wire, not being able to sell the boards. I said, that doesn't work for me. I said, if you have 4 10,000 pound lots, I can store 10,000 pounds in the storage bin. But you got to come get it every 4,000 pounds. So I don't want to do that. It's going to cost me gas. It's going to cost me tolls. I said, it's going to cost me storage. I said, I'm not here to lose money selling stuff to you. We were, it was said as nicely as one could say it, but he just kept changing his mind and changing his mind and changing it. The cheapest son of a bitch I ever dealt with, let me tell you. What cheap bastard. You can't do that to people, but they do. This is my point. You got to be so careful dealing with large orders like that, unless you are a licensed scrapyard. They can come pay you for the material you need. But you're a home gamer like a lot of us. Don't even bother. Don't do it. Because what wound up happening, I couldn't sell my boards. I couldn't sell my computers. I couldn't sell my wires. I couldn't sell anything. So I had no income coming in. And, So, anyway, back and forth. So he says to me the other day, okay, I'm going to come down and get whatever you have ready. I said, I need money before you get here. I said, because I'm not releasing the material without being paid in full. So he gets there. He shows up anyway. I told him not to show up without a check. He said, well, I'm here. I said, that's nice. I said, have a nice trip back. I said, I'll tell you what, you can take the scrap material that I don't want. So he picked up 1,000 pounds of all-in-one computers. He picked up, a bunch of crap. Monitors, laptops, not laptops, TVs, stuff that I took as a favor for people. I was glad to see it go. Then he said, your math is wrong on your invoice. I said, my math is not wrong on my invoice because I know exactly what's here. I weighed it already. He said, well, we're not going to pay until we get to weigh it. I said, the scale's right there. Weigh it. Pay me. And anyway, so we went through that whole bullshit thing. Then he's like, oh, my buyers, my bosses are all upset with me because I spent money on storage and this and that, and now we're not getting boards. I said, you told me you didn't want the boards because there wasn't enough weight there. I said, so I took them off and gave you something else. I said, you told me to do that. He's like, well, no, that's not. I said, dude, here's a preliminary contract. Read it. I said, I want you to read that out loud to me, what it says. I said, those are your initials there. I said, don't tell me what I did and didn't do. I said, don't even play that game. Well, we only want the laptops. I said, then get in your car and leave. I said, I'm not even opening the storage bin. And I was in a public storage, by the way, on security. So don't meet these people alone, I'm telling you. So anyway, he starts about that. So I'm like, well, what you shouldn't have done. I said, don't blame me for your mistake. I said, if I make a mistake, I'll take the blame for it, but I'm not going to take the blame for you not knowing what the heck you're doing. And that's the problem. He has no idea what he's doing. Brand new guy. And that's fine. You know what? I was brand new once too, and I made a lot of mistakes too. But I made honest mistakes. I didn't lie to people. I didn't change contracts. I made mistakes like maybe how I graded something or what I thought it was worth and blah, blah, blah. And you learn. That's all part of the learning curve. But to just blatantly lie to somebody? Yeah, no. He says, well, we only want this, we only want that. So you can have whatever you want. I said, send me cash right now. I said, otherwise I'm not even opening the door. He says, well, we don't want to do that. We want to pay you when it gets to our yard and we can weigh it. I said, dude, I'm not even opening the door. You can get in your truck and leave right now. Well, why are you being so unreasonable? I said, unreasonable? You're asking me to hand you $10,000 of laptops, and you have not shown me one thing that shows me you're trustworthy. I said, I don't know you. I said, I wasn't born yesterday, sir, obviously. And, it's just it was that kind of bullshit. The whole transaction was just total bullshit. And I told him, I'm done. I said, we're done here. He said, well, we want the laptops. I said, I don't care what you want. I want money. I wouldn't, I'm telling you guys, don't give it to these people without money in your hand cash. Don't do it. You will get screwed. And it won't be fun. So, anyway. So, this was what I was dealing with. Now, by this point, I'm sick. My RA has flared up. I'm in pain. I'm hiding behind the pod puking my brains out because I'm so upset. And and I'm on the phone with the manager of the place, and he's watching. I have a good arrangement with them. And anyway, so that went on. So I said, I will tell you what I will do. I said, you're going to listen to me. Oh, that was the other thing too. He shows up in a U-Haul truck, half-size U-Haul truck, empty. No Gaylord boxes, nope. And I told him, I have everything in bins. You need to have your Gaylord boxes weighed and tiered before you get here. And I'll put the material in, we'll weigh it and put it in there. We'll just dump it. I said, you need 6 boxes. You need a box for media drives. You need a box for power supplies, no wires. You need a box for low-grade boards, peripheral boards. What else? Security. And I gave him a list. I said, you need boxes for those. Those are ready to go. I have everything weighed. I said, and I do this with other people. I know what I'm doing. They come by, they said, D, I need 500 pounds of power supplies. Okay, send me a check. I'll have 5 bins outside, dump them in the Gaylord, go. Done in 10 minutes. Not this guy. So, no Gaylord boxes, no crates. I said, well, how do you plan on transporting 850 pounds of all-in-one computers? So we're just going to lay them on the... I said, they're going to be glass crumbles everywhere. So I gave him a crate. And at this point, I just want the stuff out. I don't want to have to put it away again. I don't want to store it again. And I had already gone. It was weighed. It was already in. I showed you guys the big crates that I got from the printing press company. I paid $100 for them. They're huge. The shipping crates. I had those all packed up already. I had them all weighed. I said, just put it in the truck and go. You can have it. I just want this out of here. I don't want to pay another month on the storage bin. So I gave him that. Now the driver is just like shaking his head at how bad this house. I said, he said, well, we're going to go buy pallets now. I said, it's already 8 o'clock at night. I said, I go to bed at 9. You people start working at 9. I said, so, I said, that's not going to work. Plus, there's no place at 9 o'clock at night you're going to go and get pallets. Oh, we can get them in New York. I said, then you should have brought her from New York. I mean, this was the biggest exercise in stupidity you can even imagine. It was a shit show. There is no other word for it. Absolute shit show going on. Anyway, so I had boxes. I had that one crate. That cost me $100 right off the bat, plus this truck to have gone and gotten it. So I lost money there. I told them I wanted 10 cents a pound for the all-in-ones, which is what several other, I can say it, I'm already restricted, it doesn't matter. What other buyers pay, 10 cents a pound for all-in-ones. The scrapyard pays 10 cents a pound. So he wanted those. I said, well, you got to pay for them. I said, you know, board, so I said, less 25%. He says, you're going to be so ridiculous. I said, just look, that, you know. So at this point, I wasn't giving him anything free because I was already so mad at him for the unprofessional, stupid way he was handling. And the thing was, all he had to do was listen to me. Not that I'm a big know-it-all. I am not a know-it-all. But I wasn't born yesterday. I mean, he's fresh out of college. He is dealing with the most... You ever see Shark Tank? He's dealing with Shark Tank. These people, it's ruthless. The scrap business is ruthless, dog-eat-dog. Nobody cares about anybody except for Chris and Zach. They care about their customers. You know, it is dog-eat-dog out there. Absolutely dog-eat-dog. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get destroyed, I'm telling you. So I didn't even unlock the locker. I have these media drives, you know, at 100 and probably 50-pound boxes. They're all, I showed you the pot. Everything was all stacked up. I've got power supplies in 100, but you know, they're all marked out in 100-pound boxes. So he starts, well, you know, I paid for the pod and I want my money back. And I'm like, shh, paid for the pod and want your money back? How does that work? So, you know, so I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Take the all-in-ones. I will give you those. I won't even charge you the 6 cents a pound or whatever for the 850 pounds. I gotta take those, take my crate, he's just standing around the parking lot. We've got stuff everywhere, and he's standing around. I said, you know, I go to bed at a certain hour. This is way past my bedtime. And the only reason I accommodated the night pickup was because you guys have to come from New York, and it's really hot during the day. So all this is going on at once. So I finally said to the guy, start putting it in the truck. I said, otherwise I'm throwing you out, I'm locking the gate, and I'm going home. I said, I'm done, I'm aggravated, this is not the deal that I agreed to, blah, blah, blah. So they finally started loading the crate. They took my crate. Not only did they take my crate, they took all my damn bins. $10 a bin. And at that point, I didn't care. I said, just take the scrap and go. Well, the scrap alone filled the U-Haul truck. I had boxes, I had bins, and at that point, I just was going to suck that up because I didn't want to put it all away again. So that all went. Then he said, well, we were supposed to get boards. I said, no, I have it in writing from you that you didn't want the boards. He said, well, my buyer wants the boards. Well, I said, I'll tell you what. I will give you a box of low-grade. I think I gave him 100 pounds of crap, not crap, but low-grade boards. I said, you can have those too. You know, because he had some, I don't remember. Something happened. I don't remember what it was. He reneged on paying for the bit on the storage bin. That's what it was. So he's demanding that he has credit. So basically, I gave him a bunch of scrap crap that I didn't want to have to put away. I said, take this all with you. And now he said, well, I want laptops. I said, and I want cash. Well, I'm not giving you cash. And I said, I'm not giving you laptops. So this went on for hours. I think by the time I got home, it was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. It was absolutely, without question, the worst experience I ever had in my life. But because I was smart enough to keep the good material locked up where he couldn't even see it, much less try to steal it from me, and I feel like I got robbed. Absolutely feel like I got robbed. No question about it. You know, I feel like I got robbed, raked over the coals, screwed, ripped off, you name it, that's what I got. You know, it was horrible. I wound up, I lost money, definitely lost money on the deal. Not a lot, but enough to upset me. I knew it was going to happen. I told him, I said, I knew you were going to do this. I said, and I'm ready for you. So, anyway, never again will I hold material for a big order like that. Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever. I'm going to go back to my original model, which, I hope you can see them over there because the sunlight, over there, behind me, in my storage bin, in the pod, and in my side yard are bins of material that is measured, weighed. I know what's there already. And anyway, so hey guys, don't forget to share out the live because I did get restricted, and you know, it is what it is. I guess they're afraid of me because I'm on a rant. So it was horrible. So back to my original model, which is going to be continue. I'm going to process the computers. I'm going to process the servers. I'm going to sort the e-scrap into bins like this, and I'm going to put it back up for sale. Here's the other thing. I've got 5 other people who are now going to bid on this lot because I said, don't even bother coming back. I ain't dealing with you no more. You know, I'm going to put all those things out to bid. Really, really a horrible experience. I'm sharing it with you not to share my level of embarrassment. I was ready for it. I knew. Oh, did I know this was coming? I really did. He's so cheap. He's making it more expensive for himself. And, you know, it's a very ruthless business. You know, they don't care. You think they care that they got me upset? They don't give 2 rats' asses, believe me. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm going to continue breaking down the computers, keep the e-scrap separated, put it up for sale on either my eBay store or the computerscrapper.com, which is my website, and continue selling in bulk. It works for me. Yeah, sure was, Sketch. Sketch wants to know, is that the big order guy? Yeah. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So I'm going to sort the boards like I do. This is a metal socket motherboard with a candy cane arm. Good boards, you know. Zach, cellularboards.com and boardsort.com both have categories for these, and they're not too bad to ship. You know, you got to figure you're going to lose 25% shipping, no matter what. But you don't have to deal like an asshole like I just got done dealing with, you know. You guys are a real asshole. So, these are sorted. They're in their own bin. These are iCore boards. Again, they're really super low grade. There's no, you might find a silver crystal band oscillator or two. Again, take your chips. Take your, oh, that was the other thing. Oh, we want the chips. We want the RAM. We want the CPUs. Yeah, right. Then you can pay for the price of those. You want the RAM, you can pay me $75 a pound, because that's what I charge for RAM right now. You want the CPUs, you can charge board sort. I'll pay you board sortless. We want them in the computer. Dude, you watch anybody's channel. Nobody does that anymore. You know, you get the power supply, you get the board, you get the media drive, and fans. And I always put some E-scrap into my shells. So, you know, it was bad, 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 bad. So I've processed that out. I'm going to continue processing things out. I'm going to continue putting the boards up for sale as such. I actually have delusions of driving out to either board sort or cellularboards.com. I've got 20,000 pounds of boards sitting in my storage bin. You know, that's just a much better business model for me. Now, this is an AMD board. It goes in with your low grades. All you got is a flip chip. You don't have a processor. You know, you don't have a BGA. So these are all going into storage. I'll go over there now, put these out. And some of these really nice boards I'll save for resale. You know, like a board like this I usually put into my resale boxes. It's an AMD board, but this has a gold-banded BGA on it. Yeah, I know. You're not kidding. Business deal going wrong is an understatement. Business deal going wrong is what AI says. Yeah. I don't know why AI even cares. They already restricted me. Anyway, so that was how that went. It was bad. I knew it was going to be, and I'll never do it again. You know, like I said, I have prepaid bins in my store. People can come. They can pay me for the bin and come pick it up. That's it. Pick up 50 pounds, pick up 1,000 pounds, whatever you want. But never again will I pack a big order and store it and keep it and go through this. Nope. No, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more. Anyway, I am going to load up the truck. Oh, yesterday I turned in 300 pounds of spaghetti wire at the yard. We got almost $350 for a bunch of wire. So that was pretty awesome. So yeah, definitely save your wire. Like I said, it's just is going to be better for me to break everything up, put it into components, sell the scrap, sell the wire, sell the media drive, sell the power supplies. Just sell it all out that way. Sell the RAM. RAM has been a godsend because I've gotten a lot of RAM out of the blade servers. So those things have helped me to continue. Otherwise, I think I could have really got myself into severe, severe financial stress. Bad enough that I got myself into emotional stress over it. So I am going to break down 5 pallets of computers and servers. I'm going to sell what I can. I'm going to send an order out to board sort. I'm going to bring a load to the yard. Zach, I did get your note about the new shipping. Thank you. I will definitely look into it. Unfortunately, it costs me a lot more to ship to Arizona than it does to ship to Cleveland. And, you know, that really does impact it. But, you know, it's hard because Zach subscribes to my channel and he follows me, and I really consider her a friend. But if I ship things priority mail like RAM and CPU chips, you know, I can ship those. But the boards really become an issue. And they're pretty. That came off the edge of the blade servers. You'll get that off backplane boards. Boy, look at that. That is some beautiful gold. And, you know, I'll continue doing my what's in the box. That's a good business model for me. These came out of some of the blade servers. Again, look at the gold in that. It's a backplane board. of sorts. But boy, look at that. You're not going to find gold like that. Even the board itself is good. So that's where I'm at, guys. I'm going to just, I'm going to process out all this material. I do have to process out these blade servers. I want to get these gold pins. I will probably keep. I know there's 2 pounds of copper under here. I gotta see if I can find. It takes a very funny small size Torx, and I've got them on order, but I really I don't know. I can't do anything with these until I do that. But a lot of that gold bearing material, yeah, I'm gonna resell. I resell that to you guys. So that works. I love selling stuff to people who are home refiners. Hard drives, I do have to process them. I have to dispose of them. I have to take the boards off. I've got the machine to demagnetize the platters. I don't sell hard drives. I never have. If I sell them, I'm going to sell them to somebody who's an R2 recycler who will send me a certificate of destruction. But I don't sell these. Hey, like the hard drive, you can't have them. Well, you know, I said, dude, you're trying to get an R2 recycler's license and you're talking about just selling hard drives whole. I said, you got a lot to learn. Anyway, so I'm done. I'm going to cut my losses. I'm going to move on. And he did send me a letter this morning saying, well, he wants to buy in lots of 5,000 and he'll send a pickup truck. I'm like, that's fine as long as you send me cash up front. Fine. Otherwise, don't even waste my time. And you know what? That's what most of my buyers do. They have to fill up a load. They have to top up. I've got a buyer in Waterbury. I've got 3 buyers in New York. I don't need this guy. You know, I wanted to try to help him out. It was a new business. But he lies. He outright lies. I don't like liars. You know, I'm going to post this up on my YouTube channel later, guys. So, you know, if you missed the live, sorry. Yeah, I got restricted. I don't even know why. I don't even know what the hell is up with frickin' TikTok. I hate them. I really, you know, Scrap and Irish used to say the same thing. He got so aggravated with TikTok. And I know Shark Scrapper doesn't even bother with TikTok at all. And except for the fact I have a really nice community of friends here at TikTok. You know, I really, me and Lives are not friends. You know, I know I'm on there. I've done something. I don't know what I did. I don't really care anymore. But for me, the video format is much better. I don't have to get aggravated. I don't worry about getting restricted. You know. So I'll put the live up. If I get restricted, it just converts over to a video to be reposted. That's all. Alright, guys. I wanted to share a little bit with you. Again, just for me. I should never have changed my business model. Which is take it apart, sort it, and sell by the bucket. That's the business model. If I get stuck for money, I can turn in a lot of stuff. Power supplies, media drives, those can be turned in locally if I get stuck for cash. But if I'm sitting on them or holding them, no. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the computerscrapper.com up and running. It's up. I've got a lot of work to do at it. I'm also working from home right now till the end of June. We have the band instrument returns coming in. And, you know, I want to get my yard done. I want to enjoy my summer. I don't want to spend my summer dealing with assholes like him. I really don't. He's an asshole. There's no other word for it. And, you know, I'm done. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. I hope, in spite of the fact that this came across as a bitch fest, I gave you some education as to how to avoid getting burned. I didn't get burned. I got pissed, but I didn't get burned. You know, I was very careful. I have got to try to figure out why I can't see your comments. There's a good possibility I will take this channel down and repost another channel. I will keep you advised about that. And I can always just do videos, I guess, but I do miss the interaction. I like going live because I like talking with you guys. You guys are awesome. Anyway, God in heaven bless every single one of you. I will talk to you soon. Yeah, be well, okay? Bye-bye.